Hey guys, what you doing? It's TheKillerDoll here. And we've talked a lot about family channels over here on my channel because, well, they're inherently the worst, but some truly do go above and beyond. But we've only just barely dipped our toes into the water of the whole Instagram mommy influencer scene through, discussing Micah Stauffer and the shitty practices she did with her adopted son and all that. But today it's finally time for us to go full-on headfirst into the utter nightmare that is Instagram mommy influencers. Because, well, the stuff they share is questionable to say the least. And when I say they, I specifically mean Bekah Martinez, because truly, she's really like the weirdest Instagram mommy influencer. And by the end of this video, you're either going to think me saying weird is absolutely an understatement, or basically sugarcoating it. So unfortunately today we are going to be talking about Bekah Martinez and the recent incident, or honestly incidents, involving her and her daughter. Truly brace yourselves, because we're going to go from that was a dumb idea to discuss this to what did you just fucking say? And by what did you just fucking say, I mean that's weird. And by weird, I mean it's a little beyond that, probably. Now, very quick disclaimer, because as per usual, I expect people to get very mad in the comments, which happens anytime I talk about family channels or mommy influencers. I'm not a mother, nor ever plan to be. Not my thing, do not want to grow my own tiny gremlin. However, the argument of,
you're not a mother, so you can't say anything, yada yada yada,
is beyond dumb and flawed. All of the stuff we're going to be discussing today is public information, and public information, of course, usually means that people will form their own opinions regarding it, or see what is being said as weird, especially because it involves literal children. And in my personal opinion, I believe that if anybody thinks something is weird, they have every right to discuss it, regardless of whether or not they have kids, especially with the shit we're going to be talking about today. Because being a parent doesn't give you the end-all be-all say regarding having kids, or else you would still have people like Daddy05 on this platform. And truly, some of you guys just defend mothers because they're moms, and we're not about that here. Parents and mothers 100% deserve empathy. However, you do have to draw a line somewhere instead of defending it based off motherhood and all that. So before we get into everything, you're probably wondering who Bekah Martinez is. Because let's face it, not all of us watch The Bachelor, not all of us are super wrapped up in Instagram mommy influencer bullshit. Bekah Martinez was on season 22 of The Bachelor and season 5 of Bachelor in Paradise. Since then, Bekah Martinez is a member of the Chatty Broads podcast and has an eco-conscious clothing brand called The Good Alma. But primarily, as most Instagram moms are, she's terminally online and uses her children for content. To discuss the highs and lows of motherhood. That has a better ring to it, right? Such as constantly talking about her kids getting sick, as well as posting them being traumatized from crying during a car ride. The typically terminally online Instagram mommy influencer behavior. But more recently, she has faced a ton of pushback from people because she detailed a couple years ago in a podcast about how she let her daughter breastfeed on her while she was having sex with her partner. Yeah, I couldn't make that shit up if I tried, honestly.
I felt uncomfortable, even if she was in a safe place, even with a monitor. I was I had this, primal, is primal the right word? Maybe not.
I think so.
I had this sense that I needed her close to me at all times. Mm-hmm. And I really could not get out of my head otherwise if we were having sex. I just, my head would start, what is she doing? Is something going to happen? Is she upset? Does she need me? I feel guilty because I'm putting myself before her right now. And I needed her in the room with me the first 2 months. I really did. Yeah. And I think we talked about it on the podcast, the first time that we had sex, she was literally nursing on my boob while we were having sex. Yeah. And you know what? It ended up being a great experience.
So basically, Bekah is saying here that she felt uncomfortable that her daughter wasn't around her, and in order for her comfort, she needed her daughter to be around her at all times. Because as typically seen, she's a new mom, she is worried about her daughter. And of course, she therefore needs to have her daughter nursing on her breast while she is having sex with her partner for the first time in quite some time. That is actually where some people, myself obviously included, have decided to just be like, what? What did you just say? Just one more time. Say it one more time. Actually, I don't want to hear that again. And because she did discuss this, and because people did have actually pretty split opinions on it, as they did in the past, she did what I guess is apparently the norm for her, and decided to go on multiple tangents on her Instagram story to try to explain why she did what she did, because people were questioning her and all that. Because apparently you have to further explain your decisions and actions and behavior overall when you've just kind of cut and dry said it in a podcast, but I'll bite. Let's get into it. So in these posts, Bekah basically details that anyone who takes what she did as perverse, again, breastfeeding her child while having sex, is sick and twisted and looking to demonize her. Which, no girly, this actually is a little weird, but I'll get into that in a bit. Bekah goes into saying that in summary, her daughter couldn't be put down and she'd start crying and needed to be nursed at all times and wouldn't sleep in her bassinet. She details that she went through postpartum and all that as well. Bekah was basically scared to put her down because she'd immediately start crying, and says that while she was asleep on her breast, saying the kid needed to be nursed to sleep and to stay asleep, she then had sex for the first time since she gave birth to her kid. Bekah then went into saying how she was in survival mode during this time and trying to keep her baby happy as well as her partner happy due to their rocky relationship. And then further how if you take this as perverted, you're being shitty because she's just showing the less than flattering moments of motherhood. Which, with all this being said, is actually very fascinating and interesting to me because, you didn't mention this at all in your podcast, Bekah. In fact, this wasn't what you said at all, because you stated in your podcast that you specifically were uncomfortable with her being away from you, and it caused you to be super in your head, so for your comfort and for your sake, you needed her to be there with you during all that. And let's not forget, as you said at the end of the clip, Bekah, this was a great experience for you. There is no discussion of survival mode. There is no discussion of how your child had to constantly be nursing on you. There is no discussion of this being a choice made due to suffering from postpartum. This was all about how this was all for your comfort and how this was overall a great experience for you, Bekah. So with all that being said, I think it's fair that people get to discuss this considering you have two completely different stories on this. Now, as much as Bekah wants to say that this act of breastfeeding while having sex is in no way sexual whatsoever, I have a couple of things I really want to say on this. Number one, you literally had sex with your child latched onto you, breastfeeding. She was directly attached to you while you were trying to save your rocky relationship. Therefore, she was directly involved in your sex act. There's no way around it. And I've seen a lot of people hear this and be like,
Oh, well, you're just sexualizing breastfeeding. Breastfeeding isn't sexual whatsoever.
and I want to be 100% clear on this. Breastfeeding is not a sexual act. Point blank, it is literally providing food for your child and basically keeping them alive. Totally not sexual, totally normal, doesn't need to be stigmatized. However, breastfeeding your child during the inherently sexual act of sexual intercourse is sexual, because sex is sexual. 2 + 2 = 4. I would also like to further add to this argument, one that I truly believe doesn't need any more additives, but consider this extra credit, by bringing up 2 things that I learned that are actually rather interesting as well. And it's like one thing I learned, the other thing I knew. I just wanted to fact check myself so I'm not just spouting shit. Her First 1000 Days, which is a new parent support page, and their article Breastfeeding and Sex, 5 Surprising Facts. You can have an orgasmic reaction through breastfeeding due to your body releasing oxytocin, which can cause similar sensations to an orgasm through uterus contractions. 33 to 50% of breastfeeding mothers also describe breastfeeding as erotic for this reason, so it is a relatively common and typical reaction. Pair this with the fact that you literally had sex while breastfeeding your child, and I mean, it's rather apparent that this could have been done for sexual gratification and or caused sexual gratification, because as that article stated, you can have an orgasmic reaction through breastfeeding. To further add to this, per Refinery 29 article titled 13 erogenous zones that you'll want touched right now, you're welcome. Nipples are an erogenous zone, and some people can be stimulated through nipple play to the point of an orgasm. Notably, sucking and lightly biting is a form of nipple play to stimulate that erogenous zone and can bring about an orgasm. So again, the fact that nipples are literal erogenous zones, paired with the fact that you can have an orgasmic reaction through breastfeeding due to hormones and basically uterus contractions, paired with the fact that you did this during literal sexual intercourse with your partner, it sounds pretty sexual to me, Bekah. Because the fact of the matter here, Bekah, is that this isn't trying to make your actions shitty or demonize you. It's just blatantly weird as hell with these facts in mind. And because, sex is literally inherently sexual, and pairing the discussion of erogenous zones as well as how you can have an orgasmic reaction to breastfeeding, this does absolutely nothing for your case, Bekah, at all. It doesn't matter that you were trying to maintain your rocky relationship with your partner at the time, Bekah. What you did has facts tied behind it that basically pertain to these acts being sexual. Therefore, people are going to view this as sexual. Which, by the way, I know a lot of people are going to get on my ass in the comments being like,
Oh, well, how are you only talking talking about Bekah. You are only going after Bekah instead of just her partner. You're just mad because she's a mother.
No, you are absolutely right. He is just as much to blame and is just as fucking complacent as Bekah. Because, buddy, I promise you that getting pussy is less important than making sure your kid isn't involved in a sex act. He's just as complicit. He just doesn't broadcast everything online for millions of people to fucking hear and see and, you know, profit off the motherhood aesthetic. Or in his case, fatherhood aesthetic. Like Bekah does. Clearly. Which, on the subject of oversharing, things just get infinitely worse when you pair it with things that she's also discussed in articles as well as through her podcast as well. And specifically, more recently, a post she shared on her Instagram story, which makes all of this just way, way worse, if you could even imagine that. So on yet another episode of her podcast, common theme is oversharing on this platform, I guess, she discussed how she wasn't really able to get pleasure from masturbating due to blockages or something of the sort. And it led to this being said.
After I had kind of healed, I was having a really hard time like masturbating. Like I just was like, I don't know, getting blockages or for whatever reason. And then I kept saying in my head one time when I was masturbating, which I was just thinking could be really helpful for women too, who have been taught for religious reasons that they're not allowed to own their pleasure, or maybe not even religious reasons. I think a lot of women like can't give themselves permission to have pleasure. I kept saying in my head, literally while I was masturbating, I am allowed to feel pleasure.
Yes.
And this might kind of sound weird, but I told myself like I want my daughter to be able to experience pleasure. She will one day be able to have pleasure, and like she is allowed and should be able to feel that. So I should be allowed to feel that.
That's right. That's awesome. That you were able to connect those points in your mind in the moment.
And literally saying in my head over and over again, even though it sounds dumb, like I have permission to have pleasure. I have permission to have pleasure. I can enjoy the way this feels. My daughter one day will be able to enjoy the way this feels. And like that was able to like break something in me.
Amazing.
And I think that having like a mantra like that of like I'm allowed to enjoy this. I'm allowed to feel pleasure. Like this feels good right now and that's okay.
Yep.
Like so hard.
Yeah.
So basically, Bekah said publicly for everyone online to know and for her to have permanently attached to her name that while masturbating she thought of her daughter and how she wants her daughter to feel pleasure like this and how she should be allowed to enjoy pleasure and overall enjoy how all of that feels. Again, while literally masturbating. Yeah, that's gonna be a no for me, dude. Listen, I'm not a person to shy away from sexuality and basically talking about self-pleasure and all that. I've made how many No Nut November jokes on this channel, and I've literally discussed my kinks in a separate video. It's a normal thing for people to do, and if she left it literally at, I gave myself the mantra of, I'm allowed to experience pleasure, I could actually fully get behind that. You do you, go off, dude. But to bring your literal child into this and think about your child while touching yourself, that's going to be a big fat fucking no from me, dude. I don't understand why you think that was, like, cool, I guess. I don't know if this is her trying to seem like,
I'm so sexually liberated that I thought about my daughter while touching myself because I want her to experience pleasure like this, and this really helped me get it off.
but this is, like, actually gross to me. Like, thinking of your child while you're trying to get it off in the aspect of, I want her to feel pleasure like this when she gets older is just so out of left field and just fucking weirdo behavior to me. Talking to your kid about this stuff at an age where they fully understand it and get it is one thing. This is a totally separate thing. There is also the ordeal of her letting her child, same daughter, mind you, teeth on her vibrator. I literally could not make this shit up if I tried. I feel so bad for this kid. That's when the TV personality posted a video on her Instagram story addressing their parenting concerns. Ruth found the teether in the bottom drawer, Martinez says, and she let her teeth on it, and continued to let her teeth on it because it made her feel better. I mean, it's not like she gave it to her and said, here's your teething toy. She went on to explain that it was an old, clean vibrator. Basically, mind your business, because it's not like it wasn't a sanitized item. In our house, female pleasure is something that will be talked about, and we can only talk about vibrators and sex toys. It's not that big of a fucking deal. Get a life, Martinez told Shamers. Listen, I teethed on a lot of weird stuff as a child. An empty 1-liter Coke bottle basically being the most iconic one. And you know, basically anything my parents would give me and let me basically teeth on. Keywords there, my parents would give me and let me. My parents, specifically my mother in this situation, is not about to let me teeth on a phallic object just because it made me feel better. Because there's a lot of things I probably like to chew on that I shouldn't have, and you know what? My parents probably stopped me because that is what parents are supposed to do. You make a judgment call to better establish what your kid can and can't do. It doesn't matter that it was an old and clean vibrator, nor that you are going to basically normalize female pleasure in your household, Bekah. Your kid has specific stuff probably to teeth on, and a whole fucking vibrator ain't it, girly. You can prioritize female pleasure all you want, but normalizing your kid fucking teething on a fucking vibrator is a little fucking weird. It's truly just the fucking Ace Family dick lollipop incident all over again, except actually worse because Bekah's all about sexual liberation, even if it does make her look like a fucking weirdo. But that's just my opinion, of course. Now, the last thing that we are going to be talking about is an Instagram story that she posted on the 19th of July, which when paired with all of this is just, it isn't good, for lack of better words. This is not a good look whatsoever. Now, there's going to be a discussion of CSA and intrusive thoughts with this next part, specifically pedophilic intrusive thoughts as well as OCD, and just intrusive thoughts in general, but specifically also pertaining to self-harm and suicide. So please, if you feel like this is actually going to bother you, feel free to skip to this part of the video where this is going to be somewhat brought up, but not as heavily detailed and discussed as it's going to be here. Bekah recently posted on the 19th your typical Instagram mental health graphic regarding pedophile OCD, which is where a person has obsessions as unwanted intrusive thoughts, images, or urges regarding pedophilia that give them anxiety and fear. She then detailed how this info helped her because she was plagued with these types of thoughts before and how they're horrible. She then went into saying that they were specific to her children being harmed, which was not what the graphic detailed in the slightest, and that people were trying to deliberately misunderstand what she was saying by tying this into the postpartum breastfeeding story, and that they need to fuck off because she's discussed this in therapy and knows herself. Then going into how she does this to make other mothers feel not so alone and to get help. Now, before we get into this and explain why I personally view this as a dude, what the fuck kind of thing, I want to be 100% clear that this is not me attacking Bekah for having intrusive thoughts. Intrusive thoughts are something that are incredibly horrific, and unfortunately I do have experience dealing with them. I've discussed it in therapy, but mine always pertain to self-harm or suicidal ideation, not pedophilic behavior. To give you an example, I recently actually experienced an intrusive thought this last Sunday. It was the first time I've had one as vivid and scary in quite some time, honestly. I went to the gun range with my boyfriend and we were shooting guns, this being my first time, this his millionth time because he is a gun owner, and I picked up the gun and I shot it for the first time, and my first and immediate and long-lasting thought was, well, I could just put the gun to my head right now and pull the trigger and I'd be dead. And after 2 more shots and the persistent image of me basically turning to my boyfriend and shooting myself being absolutely burnt into my head, I basically put down the gun and started crying. So trust me when I say that this isn't me trying to attack Bekah for intrusive thoughts tied to her OCD. I 100% get that. Mine are just tied to other shit than OCD. They're tied to my own problems, but that's besides the point. This is me saying that her getting mad over people tying her postpartum breastfeeding story into this ordeal is fucked up. Isn't fucked up, Bekah. It's not. Because as other people online have already clearly stated, the actions you yourself have said that you've done can literally be seen as you allegedly acting on these kind of thoughts. And it truly does give people a reason to believe that you acted with sexual intent when doing all of these things. This shit you've talked about is stuff that the graphic kind of actually discusses. The graphic isn't detailing the fear that your child is going to be sexually assaulted or that other harmful shit in that same vein happens to them. It's specifically discussing how a mother or other parental figure could think this stuff. So backpedaling and saying, I was thinking of this happening to my kids, isn't the take you think it is, Bekah. It either shows that you saw big words and decided to reshare and just fucking vent and shit, or that you are doing what you do best, which is backpedaling. Because clearly with your breastfeeding story in mind, you do backpedal in situations like this where people question you. Regardless, Bekah, all the things I've talked about here are things that you have literally said yourself either through your podcast or detailed in articles online. This is public information because you shared it online. Anyone can see it or look it up. And with this newly shared information regarding pedophile OCD, of course people are going to be fucking worried because they might fear that you did act on these kind of thoughts with what you've admitted to doing. From thinking about wanting your daughter to feel pleasure while you were literally masturbating, to basically having your daughter latched onto you and breastfeeding while you were having sex with your partner. This isn't people trying to misunderstand you, Bekah, or go out of their way to do so. This is people seeing all the behaviors you've discussed paired with the information you have newly shared and just thinking, well, wait a minute, if this is what you said and this is also what you're saying, that's a little fucking weird when you put 2 and 2 together. Because at the end of the day, it fucking is. It really is weirdo behavior, Bekah, and I genuinely do worry that if this is the stuff that you're willing to constantly put on the internet and put out publicly and over fucking share, I'm kind of worried at what you keep to yourself at this point. Now, very briefly, I want to discuss something that I've seen that people have been using in order to defend Bekah's actions. You know, besides the she's a mother, full-on Toni Collette hereditary moment kind of card. And that is that the kid will not remember any of this stuff when they grow up. Now granted, the child will not have direct memory of any of this stuff. Absolutely will not recall it. They're too tiny. They will basically Forget it. From tiny baby age to using the internet age, they will not recall any of this stuff. And by using the internet age, I hope it's going to be a while from now. With Bekah, who knows? But again, I would like to point out that all the things I've discussed, everything from the littlest details I've said, are fully fucking documented online because mommy influencer dearest Bekah over here loves to share on the internet everything that she can think of. Because, you know, she uses her children's lives as well as motherhood for profit and content on the internet. Bekah's kid isn't going to directly remember all of this. Of course not. Totally get that. They're going to have access to the internet eventually, though, and when they look up on the internet, this is all going to be here for them. They are going to have every intricate detail of mommy's questionable escapades detailed all out for them. From her kids' young lives and traumatizing experiences to them being latched onto her during sex, this is all going to be available at just the click of a button to them. Which leads me to what I want to end this absolute nightmare of a video with, and that's that Bekah Martinez, as well as so many other Instagram moms, I can name a few, but we'll save that for another day, need to absolutely log off of the internet and stop using their kids and everything they do, or in Bekah's case, are involved in, as content for the internet. I 100% understand wanting to normalize motherhood and being a mother and all that. I actually have a couple friends that are actually parents now. God, that makes me feel fucking old. And motherhood is something that is absolutely super precious, but also super fucking draining. And I get wanting to show the world what you do as a mother, because it's a tough fucking job, seriously, ask my mom. But that also means that when you do shit that is going to be seen as questionable to people, you're gonna have to deal with it. In Bekah's case, a lot of people have found several issues to take up with her, due to her basically breastfeeding her child during an inherently sexual act, as well as how you thought of your daughter and how you wanted her to receive pleasure like this while you were literally masturbating, as well as letting the same daughter, truly, poor child, seriously, teethe on a vibrator of yours. And after all of this, basically allegedly saying that you have intrusive thoughts regarding pedophile OCD, which is intrusive thoughts of sexually harming children, later leading you to say that this was all just about your children being sexually harmed, not you being the one harming them, which again was not what the post was about in the slightest. This isn't a good look for you in the absolute slightest. Predominantly with that last point attached to every other thing I fucking said in this video. I'm personally disgusted by this because other than it being just, you know, your typical mommy influencer on Instagram using her children for profit and using them for content in general, essentially roping her kids' lives into something that they may or may not want to be technically a part of, you know, for the sake of profit, of course. It's involving children in sexual acts and thinking of them during sexual acts, and honestly, Bekah Martinez is a terminally online Instagram mom who just needs to log off, as well as truly seek further help, because this is not only biting you in the ass, clearly with the way you backpedal constantly every time somebody questions your actions, throw anything you've said in your podcast, and try to come out at the end as the victim of all this and just saying people are demonizing you. It's also shit that her kids are now being roped into with absolutely no say, obviously, because they're literal fucking babies, that is permanently online and going to probably follow them for the rest of their lives. Because even if you do decide to delete this shit, Bekah, it's still here because a lot of people have talked about it. It's documented by other people other than you that you've said these things. Because once you say something on the internet and put it out there for everyone, it's a very slim chance that you're going to be able to take it back. But yeah, that is going to be it for this honestly icky ass video regarding Bekah Martinez. I'm not here to say that she's a bad mom or anything like that. All I'm saying here is that her actions disgust me personally for the several reasons I listed in this video. And I truly think that she's just another terminally online Instagram mommy influencer who will use her kids for content until she can't. It's just real weirdo behavior to me, and I just wanted to be able to discuss this and put words into what I was thinking when I saw all this shit on Twitter when I came back from my slightly internet-deprived vacation. Yes, this is one of the first things I saw online. Yes, I absolutely hated it. But yeah, this is all, of course, my own opinions and reasonings behind why I think this way regarding her actions that she has literally said. These actions are not alleged. There is literal proof behind them. But I would definitely be interested to hear what you guys think about all of this. Because while I do have my strong stances on it, a little discussion never hurt anyone. Especially since the internet is super torn regarding this subject, because you either have people that are like, oh, it's no big deal, I'm a mom, it's fine, no problem. Or are in the same boat as me, as in, what the fuck are you doing, dude? That's some weirdo shit. But yeah, that is gonna be it for this video. Sorry I had to give you all whiplash from my last video, which was actually wholesome fun, kind of. Don't know if gun ASMR is wholesome, but you know, wholesome. And you know, what better way to provide whiplash than Instagram mommy influencers being fucking weird. But anyways, until the next video, which I cannot promise will be light and funny because the thing I'm thinking of is definitely not that, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!